have the hard copy with you. I'm trying to make this process not sound like a really big thing. It's a big thing, but it's still not too big, not too scary. We have already completed 7 or 8 or 9 papers. Or at least, taken the exam and you are going to and out in the market, people scare a lot, saying thesis writing is a tough job, I passed other papers 7 years ago, 6 years ago, and this has been like Baluku, whatever. They say, but it's not that. If you follow the steps serially and seriously, it won't be a too big deal. So we already have some of those areas covered, but I will go very fast, all right? Choosing a research area, a book, could be a novel, drama, a couple of stories, a couple of poems, essays also, but very few. So that's the first thing you do. Okay? It's a kind of checklist. So, did I do that? Okay, I did it. Yes, I have a book. I have a novel, and I want to work on it. I have 5 stories or 4 stories. I want to analyze those 4 stories. Done. So that's your first step. Primary text. And that primary text, or one primary text or a couple of stories you choose for a certain reason, because it had something interesting for you, something questionable, something that you are really interested to explore further. Okay? That does not mean that you are choosing it because the title interests you, or some Google pages, summaries interest you. That's not enough. That's not enough. You need to read the text at least a couple of times, say 2 times or 3 times. Otherwise, how do you know you are interested in it? You read it first time, it's like meeting a stranger. Second time you meet him or her. And third time you feel like proposing. And the fourth time you are dating. That's what it is like. So you read 3 times or 4 times and make a boyfriend or girlfriend. That's what reading a text is like. Okay? And then before proposing for a date, what do? You also want to explore a little bit. What kind of a girl or boy is he or she? So you ask some people who know her or him. Right? It's a good idea to get some idea where this girl or boy comes from. And then some other things that you want to know, right? So review secondary text. Secondary text means other people's ideas. Just like learning about your possible boyfriend or girlfriend from other people. Right? So that's that. And then identifying the research gap. Don't explore your boyfriend's research gap. But yes, the research gap is whether he or she has a boyfriend or girlfriend or not. Another one. Yeah, that's what you need to find out. Okay? In the research also, whether other people have already done research. Simple. Right? He knows it. He has gone through that process, right? Okay, anyway. And then narrowing down or developing the research topic. Here, proposing. That proposing comes, and in that proposal, whether it's a February 14 kind of proposal or this March 24 kind of proposal. What is March 24? Today. Yes. And February 14? Valentine's Day. Okay, anyway, so to narrow down the research topic, one specific area, because there was a question. Thing was asking that question. So Thing's question was, can we look at a text with multiple different angles? You could, if you were writing a long book, long thesis, but you are only 50% research students. What does that mean? You are full 100% research student, but your paper is 50%. Okay? So 50% only, you don't write too much. You write only one question's answer. One big question's answer. So one question's answer seen from one perspective. That's it. So if you try to find or use multiple perspectives, you get lost. You don't want to get lost, right? You don't? Okay. So, preparing and submitting a research proposal. What do? You go buy a rose flower or something, and here, prepare a proposal. You write a proposal. And in writing that proposal, certain contents are there, we'll talk about that later on. And then selecting and assigning, assigning a thesis advisor. This is what the department does. But you can also have tentative mindset, like I would, like to work with so-and-so professor. In some universities, some departments here too, they can ask for chosen professor for advising. In our case, we have so many students, we have to divide among many, and that's why generally the department here assigns and conducting further research under supervision. Now, the supervisor will help you and say, well, you need to study this, or find out something more, and then I'll help you. Then you conduct the research. Interpret and present. Here, there should be ING, right? Interpreting and presenting the results. So you will do that interpretation and analysis and presenting, means writing that thesis. Then you edit it and then submit. You have to submit for oral defense or viva, and that is submitted to the research committee through the department chair, and then after that viva is done, revision or advice and approval of the supervisor or external. According to that, you revise your thesis and finally submit the hard copy to the department. That's a long process. Long, but that can be covered in 2 to 3 months also, if you are serious. Okay, the point is, you are serious. If you are not, 7 years, 8 years, there are students. Well, I don't know.
From the band of 62.
Okay? Yeah, we should have them. And there are people who passed MA in 2062 who have been colleagues with us here already. So my focus will be primarily on presentation. In presentation also, oral presentation will be covered by our colleague, sister, sister of the department, dynamic teacher, Modi Dili. And then, so my part will be written presentation, okay? There are other ways also people submit their researches. In semester system, they write term papers, which is also research, and then you submit a term paper, short, generally 5 to 7 pages, or some are even longer. They also do independent study in some other systems. In our cases, no independent study. You did some kind of independent study in first year with PSL, right? You wrote 3 papers. You copied 3 papers. In second year, right? So you wrote and submitted. See, you wrote and submitted, right? Yeah. Okay. You do that, or some project work, but we don't have project work yet. And oral presentation, so we'll be focusing on how to present a paper in seminar, conference, or sometimes invited talk, like Hemanta was invited and he gave a talk. You can do that later on. Okay? So these are how your research findings are presented. So the overview, like how do you prepare a proposal? You start, in that thesis, final thesis. So you need some preliminary phases. In the beginning, I have a student who submitted her thesis to me. I'll show you. So she has this first cover page right here, and then there is this declaration page. Declaration page is a very wonderful page. This says, I wrote the thesis myself, and I copied other people's ideas. Yes, in research you can do that, but you use it for a certain purpose by citing, by crediting the sources. And if I did not credit the sources, then I am liable for punishment. That's what you are saying, and then you sign it. So this goes to Okhtiar also. That's the second page. And then you have this the page where the external examiner, supervisor signs, etc. And you have the acknowledgements, people who help you, you need to acknowledge them, right? You need to be good to those people who help you, right? Yeah, thank your mom for giving birth. Do that right here, okay? And then abstract, you present an abstract. You present the long thesis in a short version so that the teachers know what this person is working on in a short page also, right? And you have the content page and the chapters. But in your 50%, you don't have chapters separately titled and separately numbered. And that's what you have the chapter heading right here, and then go on writing blah 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 with subheadings, and no chapter 2, no chapter 3, no chapter 4. Just you have a conclusion, both-sided. So you start with the preliminary pages, content pages, introduction, method. This is what people would call second chapter in previous format, big thesis, 100% research wallahs. But in this one, this would be third chapter. You can also keep in mind, I'm working on the third chapter kind of thing. And presentation, discussion, textual analysis, etc. You conclude it, you write a works-cited page, and sometimes people also have appendices. Nowadays, if you have appendix, you remove your appendix, right? So if you don't have appendix, you don't need it. So, how to present your findings? This part should provide a sufficient answer to your research question. What is your research question? We already talked a little bit, and I guess Yadav already did that. So a research question is a question that you begin with. I always want students to, 2 days ago I was training some teachers in Putawal, and they said, what shall we do when our MA students come and say, sir, I have this passage to India, the book, a passage to India, right? Written by? E.M. Poston, right? So, sir, masa yo passage to India पढेको छु मैले यसमा चाहिँ फेमिनिजम लगाइदिउँ Do you do that? You don't. And then I said, okay, I have this answer to you. When my students also come saying, sir, म यसमा यो लगाइदिउँ I say this. बेलुका छ साँझ परेछ घरको छेउछाउमा गेटतिर कोही मान्छे आए जस्तो गरेर कुकुर भुकेछ. And then in the family you talk about it. Somebody is there. अनि मान्छे नचिनिकन एकचोटि कुकुर पुकाएर लगाइदिउँ. You need to know who the person is. It could be your joint up. And so you need to know the person first. And then only, if you don't mind, कुकुर पुकार लाउने कि छोरी लगाइदिने हो? You need to decide. Sorry about that. You need to decide what first by knowing the text. By knowing the text. Here most of the passage in India. What is the question I am asking? Right? For example, there is Dr. Aziz. And Dr. Aziz had certain problems within himself. Psychological problems. So why does Dr. Aziz not behave normally with Mrs. Moore? Mrs. Moore? Is that the right name? Or with Mrs. Moore? What is the mother's name?
Mrs. Moore.
Mrs. Moore, okay. Or with Adela Quested? Okay, why does he not act normally with Adela Quested or something? This is your research question. And then, if you think that he had certain psychological issues, problems, then Freudian kukur pugaउने. अब Freudian कुकुरमा पनि कुन चाहिँ ब्रान्डको फ्रॉइडले पनि धेरै कुकुर पालेको छ. Certain ones like ego, superego might work. Sublimation kind of thing might work. Or trauma theory of Freud might work. So find out which dog of Freud को त कुकुरै जस्तो छ.
Can bite him.
Yeah, can bite him. If you really want to bite. If you don't want that kukur to bite, rather kiss, then you find someone. So you need to pick that theory according to what you really want to do to that person. Get my own line. Oh, स्वागत गर्नु पर्यो भने कुकुर पठाएर भयो. So that's how you decide. The answer or arguments should be supported by both. So you make a tentative answer to your question, like what was the problem with, or what psychological problem did Dr. Aziz had, or why Dr. Aziz could not deal with Adela Quested normally. And if you have that psychological answer, he had certain, psychic problems or psychological problems within himself. So, his dealing with Adela Quested was not normal. If this is your argument, this is what we call hypothesis. And with that hypothesis, you clearly know what theory is to be pulled in, right? And then it helps. So, theoretical framework, and then what textual elements support you. Text with Dr. Aziz ka ke issues dealings while talking with other people, when he is alone, while dressing up. What kind of evidence you find in the text that support that Dr. Aziz had certain psychological problems. You find out those problems, cite them, and then find out Freudian dog in that theoretical viewpoint, balance them together, use the dog to bite the text, and then you present it, your thesis is done. Okay? And in discussion part, I'm skipping some of the things, okay? I'm not talking about introduction, I'm not talking about theory, because that's not my part, I cannot cover everything. So in discussion, which is in traditional thesis or 100 mark thesis, chapter 3. In this one, the third section you can say, introduction section, theoretical support section, and the third section. This part is generally known as the textual analysis. What is the textual analysis? Analysis of the text. Okay? The text that you are working on. The chapter heading presents an argument based on the finding. Don't only say textual analysis. This is like Bairigar Chisho Kauna. Which one is the Chisho? Chisho Banakai Coca-Cola. Chisho Bane, it's only Coca-Cola, right? But Chisho Baneko other things also can be there, right? So you specify in your title what argument you are making in this chapter. Okay? A title is a short, phrase generally, a phrase Sometimes we can ask a question also, but generally a phrase. So that comes in there. And then our thesis or a long research paper contains multiple sections with subheadings, but yours is not a long research paper. So there is a thesis statement. You make a clear argument about that text by using this theory on the basis of the evidence, right? And you can also give subheadings. In those subheadings, you are showing different aspects of Dr. Aziz's personality. One aspect, another aspect, another aspect. You list them differently, give them subtitles. That makes your thesis easy to be read. Okay? So subheadings and sub-subheadings. Don't make too many, but some subheadings help. Each section is fully developed with its beginning, middle, and end. If you are giving a subheading, that subheading should make a sort of beginning and the full detail, and then ending. Move on to the other subheading. So every chapter in the traditional form, every section in the 54 marks wala, you need that section to be complete. A sort of beginning, detail, ending. And then again you will have another conclusion. The whole thesis will conclude, and that conclusion comes in the last section. So in the analysis, what do? Your claim about the text, that adds up to your major argument. So in each paragraph you do that. Theoretical basis of your claim. You are making certain claim now. For example, the way Dr. Aziz drinks while he is with if he doesn't drink, never mind. I'm just giving an example. Okay? The way Dr. Aziz drinks while he is with Adela Quested is not good for health. He knows it is not good for health, but he is still drinking. And that can kill him for, in a certain period of time. Then Sigmund Freud says this is a death drive. According to Sigmund Freud, everybody has a death drive. But if you can control or contain your death drive, then you can convert that into creativity. Dr. Aziz could have done that, it doesn't. And that's why this death drive becomes very powerful to present his negative personality. If you see it like that, this is one argument, and the theory drawn from Freud's death drive, thanatos, that is the term he uses. And then textual event is, or evidence is, he drinks so much that he can die, but he still drinks. All people that drink want to kill themselves. How many of you drink alcohol? Nowadays almost everybody does, right? If you don't, well, it's smoking, right? Drinking tea in the morning can kill yourself. So everybody has a death drive. You want to kill yourself. You want to live in Kathmandu, right? You like Kathmandu. Kathmandu's air is poisonous. You have a death drive because you like Kathmandu. So that's how Sigmund Freud would interpret. People knowing that this is not good, but still doing is a death drive. Done? So take this idea and then interpret the event. And your conclusion that fills the gap, you can also cite other critics' opinions, both for and or against the argument. For example, all Kathmandu, let me make a claim. All people who live in Kathmandu are suicidal. सब आत्महत्या गर्न लागिरहेका छन् यी सब मान्छे. This is my claim. Okay? And how do I justify that claim? They could live outside Kathmandu. They could leave Kathmandu, L-E-A-V, They could try to find job outside there. They have little farms and go and work and then produce their own organic food and live longer. But none of you want to do that. Because you want to die. And so you are here in Kathmandu. So all people who want to live in Kathmandu are suicidal. That's how you justify. In each paragraph you say something, you justify with theoretical support and textual evidence. Can you let me know? And if you were not doing while you were writing exam papers, you do that now. How do you do that? A paragraph in a thesis writing is like a sandwich. What is a sandwich? A sandwich is a bread, but a bread with something inside, right? So a bread is bread, but when the bread has something inside, it becomes sandwich. So a paragraph in a thesis writing is also like that. So to adequately frame a quotation, you need to insert it into a frame with a statement that introduces the idea, serving as the top slice of bread, and the explanation following it serving as the bottom slice. So a sandwich has this top slice. So when you are holding the sandwich, you don't touch the cream or sauces or whatever you put in here, or maybe omelette or whatever, and then maybe some greens, right? So all this will make it a sandwich. So in thesis writing also, you state your point here. This is your sentence. Bread is your sentence. This bread is also your sentence. It's your sentence. Mind it. Don't use other people's sentences. Even if you are quoting somebody, write in your own sentence what someone says, and then put that exact sentence. For example, Michel Foucault defines power as something that disseminates, among people or something like that. Okay? So that's the first sentence you are using. And then draw a sentence from Michel Foucault's whatever writing. What did he write? Madness and Civilization, or Truth and Power. So from there, draw a line that supports your point. कहाँबाट चाहिँ भनेर छ त त्यो फुकोले कुन सेन्टेन्समा स्ट्रङ सेन्टेन्स तान्नु, which we call quotation, actual quotation. Sometimes you can also use paraphrase or something. Professor will focus on that part, I guess. And then there is another yellow part also, and this yellow part comes from your text. Okay, Michel Foucault, power कसरी छरिएको हुन्छ भन्छ, यसरी भन्छ उनले, अनि त्यो कुरो टेक्स्टमा यस्तो देखिन्छ. That's why I find this person having the power, and so this is your sentence. Your sentence, Foucault's sentence, and your text, primary text sentence, and then your sentence, all together, wonderful sentence. And teachers like to chew and swallow. But what you do sometimes is you begin with Foucault's sentence, and then the teachers don't chew and swallow and food side. So the teachers, will be angry. The sentence no possible.
Sorry, you see the supplement. Something you must find.
All right. Do you really mean it? Okay. So that's how you frame a paragraph. Every paragraph in your research writing has to be like a sandwich. And how do you make that leading claim? The first sentence, how do you write? The introductory or leading claim should explain who it is speaking and set up what the quotation says. The follow-up statement should explain why you consider the quotation to be important and what you take it to say. So first sentence will do that, like you say how that is important, why it is important, the details, and at the end, how this works for you, for your idea. Okay? There is an example, you have the example you read on your own. I can simply tell you, but monitoring online activities can have the unintended effect of making employees resentful. This is a wonderful claim this man is making. Online activities को monitoring अब office में होला नि के गर्छन् त अफिसमा बस्दाखेरि very much you do that yes working. Not that as bad as other things, right? You know, those dirty things on the internet. But you know, everybody knows there are dirty things in the internet. And then there is a little detail. As many workers would be quick to point out, web surfing, now this is focusing on, web surfing and other personal uses of the internet can provide needed outlets in this stressful work environment. Many scholars, and now you cite here, these scholars, and some more further evidence. And finally, what does it indicate? This is how you connect with your argument. There's another example, I'm not going to read that. Okay? Sometimes students just make certain, like bring certain writers and their opinions. I have often seen that in their pieces, for example. Let me see if I can find. Okay. Oh, this is a thesis about Da Vinci Code, the Da Vinci Code by
Dan Brown.
Dan Brown. So, if the writer cites certain critic who said something about the Da Vinci Code and then moves on to the next paragraph without making any comment on that previous quotation, what did you do? You hit that critic and run. You drive or you ride motorbikes, right? What do you do when you hit somebody by mistake, even by mistake?
You run away.
You run away? Only when you don't have license. That's a dangerous thing. That's a crime. That's a crime like killing people, even if the man or the woman hasn't died. So, that kind of quotation is called hit and run code. What is the responsibility of a driver if somebody is hit by your car or your vehicle? You have to stop, help that person, get to the hospital if need be, or make sure the person is all right, and then take the responsibility because it's you who did it.
Sometimes get beaten.
And sometimes get beaten. But if it is in the films, affairs begins.
Yeah.
Right? So there are always possibilities. Don't miss those possibilities. Yeah. So don't run away. And using a quotation is also like that. Don't run away. फलानुले यसो भन्छ भन्थ्यो त्यो प्याराग्राफ लामो थियो उसले धेरै लामो भनेको थियो प्याराग्राफ भइदियो नि त आठ लाइनको प्याराग्राफ भएपछि पुगिहाल्यो move on to the next paragraph. No. You need to say something which will say or which will connect that idea to your idea.
Make it sandwich.
Right? Make a sandwich. But don't make a human being a sandwich on the stage. See here, someone has done that. Susan Bordeaux writes about women and dieting. Full stop. Easy is just one example. Until television was introduced in 1995, the islands had no reported cases of eating disorders. In 1998, 3 years after programs from the United States and Britain began broadcasting there, 62% of the girls surveyed reported dieting. Not even, there's numbers there. And then See how short and unconnected kind of remark is there. I think Bodo is right, and then you vote. Who cares whether Bodo is right or not? But what we care about is how Bodo's idea support or does not support your idea. That's important. And that's it. This person is moving to another point Bodo makes that does not make any sense. And you need to have clarity and precision in writing. A good writing is one that presents even a complex idea in simple and clear sentences. Some people have this, wrong impression that if you write longer sentences, more complex sentences, you could साहित्यिक रहेछ number that answer. No, that's a wrong idea. People who know more write simpler sentences. And you are the people who know more. You know more about the text, not more about those people who sell the pieces. Knowing more means knowing more about your text, not knowing more about those sources. Okay, there's an example, I'm not going into that now. So avoid ambiguity while writing. Don't use sentences with pronouns or other words that are confusing. For example, sometimes you use the term she for one of the girls or women that you have referred back or before, but there are more there, like more than two or more than two. So for example, let me see if we have an example. Okay. None of this. Don't begin a paragraph with this. Which is this? You are showing this. We don't know. So beginning a paragraph with this, that is not a good idea. State what you refer to. As some commentators have concluded, signaled the end of history, not undermined its value. Instead, it implied, what is this it, we don't know, implied the necessity of writing more histories from multiple hitherto marginalized perspectives and introducing material that had previously been excluded from consideration as insignificant trivia or of minor interest. This was, what is this? This. No idea, right? So, be specific. Any questions? Shortly, the presentation ends. So, there are all the things, for other presenters to present. Any questions? Maybe I have, can you give me 2 minutes for questions? 2 minutes. No question? Wow, I made everything clear. Okay.